Thanks, everybody. Nice to see everybody here. Nikki, thank you for joining us from Toronto. Glad you're here. It's
Thank you.
great. She always makes a great impression from Vertical Impressions. Always great to see Sam Brown, star of Out of Home Today this week, star of Stage, Screen, and Out of Home Today. Debbie Byron with a new job at Talon. Great. Now she's finally a DPAA member coming out from Icon. Kim Youngberg, good to see you. And Diane Williams and Rena, glad everybody's here. So today, Jen will be taking you through another masterclass of Jen Willie's We Do program, Networking in the Zoom Age. And we can go to the next screen. And as we get to that, we'll be talking about all of our products. I think all of you know these already, and please join us for, of course, we're here with We Do, but our other webinar programs, which included in DPAA Homeroom. Please read Good News every week, shows that audiences are coming out, and our DPAA Short Connects, where we interview leaders in the advertising world. We go inside the hearts, the minds, the homes, the strategies and tactics of all these important CMOs and CEOs of the business world. And then on the next page, as we get there, Leslie Lee, I loved your comments on Twitter last night. We'll talk about that later. That was great. Hope your TV is still okay. Please join us, everybody, for Leslie Lee of Vistar, by the way. Live streaming. We'll be having our summit this year in 3 days, October 13th, 14th, and 15th. If you haven't registered, please register, and that will be from 11 a.m. to 2:30. We've got a great array of thought leaders in advertising, in media, and in politics and news. Relative to politics, we'll have that great political pundit, Frank Luntz, joining us, as well as the global head of media for CNN's media show, Brian Stelter. Plus, do we have a page of speakers at all on this, Blake? Yeah, there we go. Great. Angela is the CMO of Hyundai. Look at this lineup. The CEO of LVMH, the head of all media, Kroger Raja, the global CMO of MasterCard, and also president of health at MasterCard. Gail, formerly of Unilever, is now CBO and CMO of Weight Watchers, the CEO of Group M, and of course, the new Ad Age editor-in-chief, Dan Perez, terrific guy. Tiffany Chu, the reporter and media editor for New York Times. WWE CMO, Monique, who we all know, who runs the longest running multicultural agency, our friend Paul Wilmington, CEO of Canvas, the CEO of DDB. What a lineup. Sasha, live from Europe, now running MediaCom US. We've got the client from Jaguar. We've got the inimitable Andrea Supliotis from Hivestack. Ali CMO, Ari is going to be on a great panel, The World Without Cookies, Ari Buchalter. And then Ichiro, my friend and member from Live Board, is going to talk about programmatic all over the world, including Japan. And then, of course, Zaxis, who's a member as well, plus more and more to come. So please join us October 13th, 14th, and 15th. Register at videoeverywheresummit.com. That's videoeverywheresummit.com. And join us. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jen Willie. I don't know if Jill has joined us yet. Blake, has Jill joined us by chance?
Jill's here with us.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Jill.
Hi,
nice to see you.
Nice
Jill is
to
coming
see you,
to
Barry.
us.
How are you? Hi, Jennifer.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm very
Great to
well.
see Jill. Jill is coming to us from a wonderful brownstone in New York City. And Jill is one of the leading players at WPP, running all marketing for Group M. And as you just saw, we're working with Jill, and we've got some amazing Group M speakers this year and MediaCom folks, and a terrific lineup that will be a great big day. Jill, great to see you. I like the new glasses.
Great to see you as well. I have to show up for you, Barry. I have to show up for you and this audience. I got some new glasses, got some new headphones here for you.
You look great. It's fabulous. And what talk about We Do. I mean, Jill is one of the great women leaders in advertising. And what we have here on the video today is the Women Empowerment and Digital Out of Home. We've got folks from Toronto, from Asia, from Europe, and North and South America. So welcome, Jill and Jen. And I'm going to leave it to the ladies now, as I've done my role, and I'm going to go off the stage as I speak trippingly on my tongue.
Excellent. Jennifer, should I start? I'm happy for you to start. I'm here just for a little bit of introduction, a little bit of observations regarding this very, very important topic. I'll leave it up to you, Jennifer, what you feel is best.
Sure. Well, as a female leader in the industry who has absolutely valued the power of the pack and the importance of networking on all of us being able to achieve our potential and move our mission forward, we'd love for you to start off by sharing some of your observations and experiences and why this is such an important hour and a half.
Yeah, thank you for that. I was actually really thinking about this last night, and my perception about the nouns and the adjectives that I use to describe my network has actually changed quite a bit in the last 6 months, right? So if this moment in time has taught us anything or has accelerated or elevated anything, it's number one, kind of living in for the moment and for the minutes. So my CEO today, Kirk McDonald, who Barry had referenced earlier, he said something to me yesterday that was just so illuminating. He's like, Jill, before we went into this kind of Zoom world, we were in a constant state of partial attention. And now in this environment, even if a meeting is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, you're kind of in the moment. You have to savor and value every minute. And as I'm looking at you, Jennifer, like I'm really looking at you. And I've been guilty myself when I'm in live meetings. I'm kind of doing other things, or I'm kind of half there. But I think especially when it comes to networks, your personal network, your professional network, it's kind of being in the minute and owning the minute and owning the moment with that person opposite you. And it doesn't matter if you're on a screen or not. The other component of this is the words that I have been using to describe my network. I'll be very honest. Someone has said to me, Jill, like, how do you find time? How do you find time for your network? And it suggested to me that some people view the nurturing of their network as a burden, right? Oh, I have to do this, or I have to do that. The fact of the matter is, in this environment, you will make a priority what is important to you. And rather than framing it as a burden that I have to do this or I have to do that, is if you see the care of your network as living and it's breathing and it's expanding, perhaps it's contracting, you have to take care of her. It just like any living, breathing organism, you have to take care of her. You have to feed her. And I have found specific tactics. Just in terms of how I describe my network, it's not a burden, it's an opportunity. For some people, it may be insurance. For some people, it may be a professional outlet. So I have actually reframed the words that I use to describe my network. And as a result of that, I have prioritized it differently. And I've prioritized it differently through a series of tactics. Every Friday at 4:50, 10 minutes, I have something in my calendar that says my network. And I have to commit myself to a single micro action. It may be a LinkedIn endorsement, one LinkedIn endorsement. It could be a delightful voicemail. Let's go back to phone use. I'm okay with that. Let's go back to phone use, right? Let's give our eyes some relief. A delightful voicemail. Hey, I've been thinking about you. How are you? I actually received a voicemail from a former colleague of mine, and I was like, wow, it was so awesome. And use these moments, use these micro actions, these 10 minutes to just delight. And there's a saying by Maya Angelou, which is, people forget what you do, people forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Use those 10 minutes to make someone feel awesome, because right now, goodness, do we need more generosity? Do we need more outreach now more than ever? So those are some of the kind of the tactics I have used in terms of like refreshing, re-energizing, rethinking about what my network is.
I love that, Jill. And it goes so much to what we're going to be focusing on today, which is all about the mindset of getting it right and realizing, I love how you say it's not a burden, it's an opportunity to take care of those people that are in your life. But we always talk about it as it's like filling up your karma jar, right? You're doing good for others and it will come back to you in the universe. And even if it doesn't come back directly at some point, you're going to feel so much better throughout the course of the day when you are doing things to help other people on their mission. So thank you for sharing that, Jill. And certainly
Absolutely.
as we're going throughout today's session, any ideas or inspiration that you want to share, just chime on in, because we'd love to hear your perspective as well.
And I need to thank you, Jennifer. Something that you had taught me is have a hold me to it buddy. Hold me to it, buddy. And you held me to those moments of meditation. I'm not as good as I should be, but thank you for holding me to it. You were kind enough to reach out to me on LinkedIn to check in on me. I did download the apps. I have to get into a better rhythm, but I think what you taught me as related to a hold it, buddy is actually essential too.
Absolutely. I actually started a new accountability partnership yesterday. I was in a conference and there was a totally inspiring keynote speaker talking about how one thing that she does that helps her is she wakes up and watches the sunrise every morning, and that it actually, from a neuroscience perspective, changes your body chemistry and starts your day very differently. So in the chat in this conference, I put, I want to start a sunrise club. Anybody in? And all of these people started writing in, and guess what? Shocker, they were all women. So I said, we're not going to call it the Sunrise Club. We're going to call it the She Rise Club. And I said, text me your information. And so today, even though I stayed up very late watching the debate last night, this is not a political workshop, I still got up and tried to watch the sunrise this morning. And we all connected and cheered each other on to start the day. So having that get it done, hold you to it, accountability partner, success partner, whatever kind of language feels right to all of you, make sure that you find that for the things that really matter to you. So
Jen, before this ambassador leaves, Jen, I just want to thank Jill, who's been a great partner in the Video Everywhere Summit and everything we do, and just can't wait to see you back in Manhattan. And what I would say, and as you said it so well, one of the greatest gifts that you can give somebody is your attention. And that is what we're going to give to Jen now, and we gave it to Jill. Thank you. And I just do want to recognize before I leave Debbie Drutz, where I can see Debbie. Debbie is one of the board of directors of DPAA. She's president of Novus Media, and she's chair of We Do. And hey, Jen, could you just put it back for a sec? I can see everybody before I leave. I think you're there, Deb. There is Debbie Drutz. Wave your hands so everybody can see Debbie. She's been a great leader in the industry, and I wanted to make sure to recognize her there. So thank you so much, Jill. Thank you, Jen, Blake, for working the production in the background. And I'm going to go off to my next webinar, but thank you all. Great to see everybody.
Thank you, Barry, for being here. Thank you, Debbie, for all the work that you do leading the advisory board for We Do, and all of the other amazing women at the helm of We Do. We are so lucky to have your brilliance and ideas and honesty to help along that. And we will be launching more committees for We Do so that we can do more together in the coming months and years. So keep your eyes out for all that. And Jill, to your point about being purposeful and paying attention and living with intent, what I want all of you to do right now, and I'm keeping you on gallery because I'm going to see who's not following directions. I want you to close your eyes for a second. And I want you to just think about, because this time we're in right now, this will not last forever, but it will probably shift what life is like forever. So think about in the future, when maybe even you're not working from home most of the time anymore, what is it that you want different about your life and about certainly your career? What do you want different? Is it that you want to be doing a different type of role? Do you want to be a people leader if you're not today? Do you want to work in a different industry or vertical area of expertise? Do you want to switch companies? Do you want to take on a bigger leadership role in your organization? There's so many different ways. Do you want to learn more around the tech side of what's so critical in the digital out-of-home industry? Whatever that is for you, think about that one thing. And let's use that throughout the course of the workshop that we have here. And Barry did just say, give me all your attention. Don't worry about giving me your attention. This hour and 10 minutes is about you. Okay, this is only about you. Nobody's checking attendance or anything like that. This is about helping you on your journey to achieving your professional potential. And so if you haven't done so already, please access the link to the Networking Navigator, which is in the chat. If you joined a little bit late and you don't see it in there, Blake, if you could just copy that link and repost it in the chat, that would be terrific. So for all of the programs that we do at WETSMN, Advanced Women at Work, and with We Do, we focus on fearlessness. And as we all know, it is more important now to not let fear stop us than ever. And what we call the fearless fundamentals are confidence, communication, control, connections, and courage. We all need that right now. And today, specifically, we're going to be laser focused on the connections piece, but all of the other fundamentals come into play with everything that we're doing. And in this time that we have together, we'll share some insights, hopefully some inspiration, and then we're going to be focusing on how do you take action very specifically so that you can make whatever that future that you just imagined come to reality. But now, if you remember nothing else about this session, I want you to remember to make whatever you need to do bite-sized, okay? Just like Jill had said, it's one thing that you're doing to move your mission forward each day. If you can get to 2 or 3 or a week, great. But don't let this big ambiguous roadblock appear in your brain of, oh, I've got to do all these different things. And I'm saying that especially because when you take a look at that Networking Navigator and open it up, there's a lot in there. You don't have to do it all at once. You could fill out 1 cell today and we'll be in a good spot, okay? You don't have to get to the whole thing. So let's start off by just talking about connections and the power of connections, because the reality is it is just like being plugged in to other people, to other opportunities, to other ideas that will help you on your journey. And that's why in the time that we have today, we're going to be focusing on, first of all, why it is so critical, and now more than ever, but how we have to do it very differently when you're not going to an in-person event, whether that's a conference or a workshop or a happy hour or whatever it might be. We're going to talk about weak ties and strong ties, what that means and how that leads to success and why it's so critical to work both of those. And then we're going to get into the how to do it online, in the industry, and at work. And so we're going to make this as interactive as we can. And so what we're going to do to start with that, so we're all here together and you all get to hear each other's voices, is we are going to start off by having everybody weigh in. So I want everybody to go to a site called menti.com. So you'll go to menti.com, and once you get there, you are going to put in a code that I'm going to share with you right now. So you, let's cancel this bad boy out. I'm going to try and share the screen again. Here we go. So you're going to put in the code. Hopefully you see at the top of the screen a code that says 6815591, and menti.com, again, spelled at the top for you, menti.com, code 6815591. And once you put that code in, good, I see that there's some people who are already there. Tell us how you feel about networking. We want to see where we're at, because there are sometimes I'm working with groups and we actually have a lot of very seasoned networkers, and then it's really about leveling it up and people who love it. And then there's other people that are like, oh gosh, like the girl in the middle, like, oh, I could use a little bit of help. And sometimes we're down with the root canal crew. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't have an overwhelming amount of those in this group. I see about 28 of you so far. Keep those coming in. I'm so happy to see that, certainly that we got some Beyoncés in the room who are natural at it, and we are definitely going to give you tools to help you ratchet that up for the future. But most of us, as you can see, are in that middle section of could use a little bit of help. You know, when I think about it, I might get a little bit sweaty. And so we're going to make that really simple for all of you. Okay, so with that, I got another question for you. What's the toughest part of networking for you? And you can just put a word or two right into the poll here so that, again, we can get a sense, and as we're going through this, we can make sure that we're helping you with the things that are most challenging for you. Certainly we see taking the first step, and I will share, as your feedback starts to come in, this is a word cloud. So if there are some similarities and threads through all of your inputs, we're going to see that a lot bigger as we go. Breaking the ice, finding common connection, finding the right people, starting the conversation. Good, we're gonna be focusing on that. We're actually gonna get really down to the nitty gritty of starting the conversation. So and breaking the ice, obviously those two biggest things. So we are going to make that easy. And guess what? We're gonna make this interactive too. So you're gonna get to practice a little bit of what you're learning throughout the course of today and our time together. So one more question for you. Where do you spend most of your time networking? When you think about expanding your professional network, do you generally do it with the people that you work with and through them? Do you generally do it through industry conferences and events? Do you use social media most often, like LinkedIn or other different social media tools, depending upon how open you are to having social media connections with people that you know from work and from the industry? Personal friends, and then obviously industry associations. Okay, so it seems like conferences and events are at the top of the list right now. And okay, a little bit less. So we're really going to be focusing in 3 areas of how do you do it from an industry perspective, which I'm excited about because it looks like that is something most people are not doing right now. So I'll help give you some tools of how you could do that. But then also things like how to leverage conferences and events even in today's Zoom age so that you could do that. And then really leveraging LinkedIn and your personal network so that we can help all of you as much as possible. Okay, don't answer this. We're going to come back to this. So I'm going to stop sharing. We will come back to that. I'm going to reshare. Okay, do I still have everybody with me? Give me a little thumbs up. Okay. Wonderful. Happy to see you're all still here. So hopefully we all know that there is a lot of value in networking. And according to the Harvard Business Review, it's everything from more job and business opportunities, to more knowledge. We all know knowledge is power. We actually have an increased capacity to innovate, which right now is more important than ever as the world is pivoting and we're all shifting. You'll get faster advancement at work, greater status and authority, and improved quality of work and job satisfaction. Okay, so let's just agree it's important. But the problem is we have to try and figure out how do you do that and how do you do it in a way that's going to help you with all of those things that we just laid out. So we're actually going to take a big step back all the way to 1955. So time machine. We're now in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. And as hopefully most or all of you who are in the United States, at least who are joining us, would recognize the lovely woman on the right. It's Rosa Parks, who became the face of social injustice and racial oppression in Montgomery, Alabama, when she didn't give up her bus seat. But what's fascinating is that it wasn't that Rosa Parks was the first person to not give up her bus seat, which was illegal at the time in the United States. It's because of who she was and what she represented and the ties that she had in her community that she became the face of the racial justice movement. And the most important part of that was what's called weak ties. And that's because Rosa Parks was not just somebody who went to work every day. She was somebody who sewed clothing for other people who didn't have it. She is somebody who helped the sick and the infirm in all different disparate groups. And that meant that not only did she have a close-knit circle of friends and family, but she had acquaintances throughout the entire community of all different types of people. And what that is called are weak ties. Weak ties are those again, I like to use the word acquaintances, people that you have some kind of a connection with, but they are not your close friends and families. You don't talk to them on a regular basis. And so really a weak tie comes down to 4 things. How often you talk to them, frequency of contact, the emotional intensity. So is this someone you care about? If it's a weak tie, you don't really care about them, to be quite honest. Is there an intimate relationship? Would you confide in this person? And do you give reciprocal services back and forth on a regular basis? Now, what's interesting about networking is that depending upon where you are in the hierarchy of the professional world, weak ties or strong ties are different in terms of how important they are for you. So now when you look at this is a great image from the researcher Gran Vetter from 1973 that really shows how important different ties are for different types of people. So whether you're on the lowest status types of role or blue collar worker, semi-professional office worker, all the way up to the kingpin in the office, it matters differently. So let's just take a look at that. When you are down at the bottom of the hierarchical ladder, in those cases, weak ties really don't help you that much. According to research, most people will get their jobs through people that they know or through nobody at all in terms of from a network perspective. But as you get and move up the chain, weak ties become more and more important. And for all of the women in the digital out-of-home industry who fall into that professional category for the most part, and we may have some administrative assistants who are here or in other types of roles in the organization, but for the majority, based on who we had register, you're dealing with professionals. And when it comes to finding a new job or a new opportunity, the vast majority of research shows that those weak ties are most important to you. Now know that, and that's whether you're a man or a woman. Okay, now let's couple that with research from the National Academy of Sciences that shows that women who have a close group of women in their lives who all have disparate networks are the ones who become the most high placing in the real world of finding new jobs, getting first jobs, getting promotions. Okay, so if you have a close network of women who all know each other and have pretty much the same network, you are not going to be in the same place as having those weak ties to other women. And I keep saying the word women because research shows that men can have a very diverse network, and if they have both strong ties and weak ties based on where they are in the world, they can do very well based on that. But women actually have to have 2 different kinds of networks. One diverse network, but those who are most successful also have that separate inner core network of just women. They're allies who, quite frankly, those allies don't really know each other. And because they don't know each other, their people don't really know each other. And what that does is this gives you that incredible extension and network of weak ties that in some cases, they may not even be your first level connection. They may be your second or third level connection if you think about something like LinkedIn and just how far apart you are from knowing someone directly. And according to the research that we did, women are nearly 3 times more likely to get a better job than women who don't have other women to rely on when they're looking for work. And I want to say a lot of this research and efforts to think about how do you build out ties beyond those women that you even know today, but expanding that second level network of weak ties is thanks to amazing efforts by Jennifer Da Silva and her initiative called Connect for Women. If you are not aware of Jennifer or this initiative, check it out. But the whole idea is she has asked several successful, high-powered women in her network to come together and as a first pass to all focus on how do we help each other. So it's like creating an alliance, an introduction exchange of how we can help each other. And now we're all doing a next gen program so that younger women who are early on in their career can get help from these old ladies like me and other ones like me who have been around the block a few times, but want nothing more than to be able to help the next generation of women. So if you aren't aware of it, check out Connect for Women, and you can raise your hand if you are a younger woman who wants to be a part of the Next Gen initiatives or just kicking off the first phase of that. And if you have decades of experience and want nothing more than to help mentor and help the next generation, or even other women your same age, please sign up for that. And also, based on original research that we do around fearlessness, we've worked with a team of behavioral scientists from Wharton to understand what are those barriers that hold us back at work. And when we look at some of these things that are critical in order to be successful, like negotiating, advocating for yourself, presenting, speaking up in meetings, the area where women are the furthest apart from men and where we don't feel that great is strategic networking. And that's why I am stepping off my soapbox now about how important this is and the why behind it, the science behind it. And now we're going to be focusing the rest of our time here on the how. Okay, how do we do this? Online, in the industry, and at work. So if I still have everybody with me, give me a little thumbs up, or actually a whoop whoop. We got any whoop whoops out there? Okay, whoop whoop. Great, we're all together here. And the first thing I want us to focus on is shifting your mindset. Just as Jill said, it is not a burden, it is a gift. And now in this era of COVID, we all hopefully recognize every day as a gift, but the opportunity to help people, Karma Jar, is more important than ever. And so if you go into any type of a networking event or reaching out to someone and think of it from the place of, how can I help this person? Is there any one thing I can do based on the gift that I have? And the gifts I have might be that I know how to use Zoom pretty well, or I'm pretty good at using PowerPoint, or I have a big gosh darn network because I've valued networking for 25 years, even though I'm only 25 years old. So it's about identifying what are those gifts that you have, but then also giving some time to thinking about, well, what are the gifts I'd really like to receive? And what's so great about just shifting your perspective to this gift-giving mindset is I find this is one of the many things that make women so incredible. And don't get me wrong, I'm the biggest proponent of men. I've got 2 teenage sons and a husband. I do have a female dog though. But what makes me such a proponent of women is that we are very high when it comes to EQ and empathy and pro-social behavior, meaning doing those things that are good for others. And so we like, if you get invited over to somebody's house for a drink or for an apartment, for a happy hour or whatever, you don't show up empty-handed, you show up with something. And we like giving gifts. I don't know about you, but for me, I don't like getting gifts generally. It makes me very uncomfortable. I'm not sure why, but I love to give them. And so when I talked to some of the women that I admire around the world about what their secret to being advanced networkers, they all actually gave me the same exact answer. So in Japan, Yuko Furuichi, who is one of the youngest female CEOs in the country, said, always remember to give and take. If you ask someone for something, you have to give something in return. And actually, my partner on Career Excel, which is our women's leadership online program, you can check that out, careerexcel.us. Hira, who is a UK Goodwill ambassador, she's a renowned author. She works with the London Police Department around inclusivity. She's incredible. Hira's answer was almost exactly the same as Yuko's in Japan. Reciprocity is the key to lasting and genuine relationships. And this to me is an important part. Support others first before asking for favors via introductions, referrals, recommendations, and shout outs. Okay, so make that first. And then the beauty of it is recognizing, and this is Sheila Buckley, who many of you may know. She has been a legend in the industry. She was president of the She Runs It board of directors for many years. Sheila had to say, making connections through networking can become a learned skill for even the most introverted person. Everyone can make this their superpower, and all you have to do is be willing to start. And as we heard through the input that you all shared, getting started can be the most difficult part. And so again, if you take this mindset and think about being selfless to being selfish, it can help you and make it, again, not a burden, but something that you're actually looking forward to. So right now, again, I want you to close your eyes because it's so much easier than when you're looking at a screen in other people's faces. And I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I want to see that everybody's eyes are closed. I'm going to call you out if they're not. I can see you. I'm not closing my eyes. Eyes closed, Samantha. I see you. Okay, good. Close those eyes. And I want you to think about two things. Number one, what is the gift you have to give that you can help somebody with? And again, there's probably a zillion things you can think of. I shared some examples of what I might think of. What is your gift? How could you help somebody else today when this Zoom ends? How could you help someone? And it may even be starting as simple as possible with somebody that you know who's lost their job due to COVID. And you can think of even one person that you could introduce them to. Or guess what? You may not even need to introduce them. You can just check in on them and see how they're doing and make sure that they are okay. Okay, so think about what is that one gift. If you can get to 2 gifts or 3 gifts or 4 or 5, we've got some amazing women on this call. I'm sure you can, but even just start small. And then the next thing I want you to think about is I want you to think about what are the things, even just one gift you could use some help with. And I'll give you an example of one that, because sometimes you may think, oh, well, you know, as you get older in your career or more seasoned, you don't need help. There's a story, and I may have shared this with you before, but for me, it was so powerful. There was a woman who was a head of tech for one of the biggest financial services company in the world. And she wanted to get to the CTO level, and she couldn't do it. She kept trying and trying and trying. And what she finally realized was she needed the gift of learning how to translate all of the technical jargon, how she normally talked, to something that was plain speak, easy to understand language, because you cannot be a CTO if the CFO and the CHRO and the CMO and the CEO and certainly the board of directors can't understand why your project that you want to fund is so incredibly important for the company. So you have to be able to talk like a normal person. So this CTO finally realized that and then made a concerted effort to find mentors, other people, and her mentors were not older than her. In many cases, they were younger in different types of roles to help her learn how to translate from what she wanted to say, which was very technical and hard to understand, to what was the why and in plain speak language. So we're going to go back to sharing the screen here and getting a little bit more specific about how do we do this in the industry. So as it relates to networking online, the first thing that anyone, and we saw a lot of you really want to make sure that you are networking with others, either because you're looking to make a potential career change or you are looking to expand your network. I was in the room with a lovely lady from Alberta who was sharing that she just wants to meet more people in the industry who can help her in terms of who's making those brand decisions. And so when you think about a brand, it's what's your personal brand? How are you showing up in LinkedIn, which is the first place that everybody is looking at right now. So what I like to say is look in the LinkedIn mirror. And what I want you to do, I want you to take out your phone. You're actually allowed to touch your phone and think about what time of day is easiest for you, what day of the week, and block time in your calendar. It could be a half an hour. An hour is probably more appropriate to dive in to how you're showing up in LinkedIn. Okay, so looking in that LinkedIn mirror and making sure that it reflects the personal brand of who you are today and how you want to be seen. And then what I'd strongly recommend is making that personal recurring meeting with yourself. So just as Jill said, she's got that networking meeting that she puts on her calendar for every Friday afternoon. What's that time of day for you? Maybe it's every Friday morning or Friday afternoon or first thing on Monday morning, where you can think about what's my strategy and my plan for LinkedIn for this week. One of the easiest things that you can do, especially when the world opens up a little bit and we're back at events and conferences, considering that that was the number one way for all of you that you've been networking, is you want to make it really easy for people to connect with you when you're in the same place. And so one of the things that you can do, and again, if you have the LinkedIn app on your phone right now, okay, the easiest thing that you can do is you can go to the LinkedIn app. And if you look, and what should happen is as you scroll, is you should be able to see that add a person in the bottom corner as you scroll. And when you do that, it should come up where you get several choices like this: add contacts, scan QR code, or find nearby. Now, if we were all physically together, and when we are physically together, which I can't wait for the next time, we are going to do this, and we're going to turn our find nearby on, and then all of us can immediately connect with each other. But we're not together right now. So what you're going to do instead is you're going to go to scan QR code. And when you do that, it'll first give you what looks like it's a camera so that you can scan somebody else's. But if you look along the top there, it says scan, and on the right, it says my code. If you go to my code, you can then save this code, share it. You can save it as a photo. I actually even have, I don't know if you could see this, I have it saved as my screensaver on my phone. So I can be anywhere. I also, before I broke my Apple Watch, left it in the laundry, I had it as the image on my Apple Watch whenever I go to a big event, like if I was going to CES or to the ANA, or certainly the Video Everywhere Summit, which is coming up in a few days, and y'all better be there. I would just have that on my watch. So whenever I'd be chit-chatting with someone, I'd say, oh, we should connect. You know, you have your phone in your hand. Why don't you just open up your camera? And once you do that, they just have to open up their camera app. And once they hold their camera over your image, it will immediately pull up your LinkedIn profile. Okay. You can also do this for things like this. And so you could make your image, so rather than just showing your headshot, oh, I'm going to do this. I haven't done this with myself. Rather than making my headshot the image that comes up, I could have it as this, as the image that comes up. So anybody else in that meeting, if they want to link and connect with me, can do that by just holding their phone over that QR code. And as I had mentioned, you can also, anytime you're together with people, even if it's not for an event or a conference, but you want to connect with them, you just turn on that LinkedIn. Now, if you look at your LinkedIn profile and you realize that it's not reflective of the brand that you want, meaning your title is not right, and all that you really see is that you've been stalking other people and writing silly comments or inappropriate things that you don't want showing up when somebody goes to look at your page, this may be that great time to say, I'm going to invest time and energy in making my LinkedIn brand reflect my own. And there are great services that are out there. The Reboot Group is one that I love. I don't make any money from this, but I know Katie Fogarty and the work that she's done with everyone in this industry, from CEOs down to entry-level people, and she's amazing. So you could check out the Reboot Group as one way to do it, or any other reputable service that knows the media industry and how and why you want to show up in that. Okay. Now, the other thing that you want to do as it relates to connecting via LinkedIn is you want to create your personal elevator pitch. And what I strongly recommend is building a LinkedIn connection template. So what I do is I put these 4 things into my LinkedIn connection template. I write it up. You get 300 characters for a personalized connection in LinkedIn. And so I'll play with it in Microsoft Word to see what goes to 300 characters, or even I can open up and pretend I'm going to connect with someone and play with how many letters that I get there, characters I get, before I run out of space. And for me, I focus on these 4 things. So the why, what's my reason for connecting with them? And then I add in a little bit of my mission or my purpose, or for those of you who know Ikigai, which I'm a very big believer in, if not, I'll send you some information and we will touch on it a little bit later, but like, this is your reason for being, this is your purpose. And then you can even share that you want to share your gift, or you want to collaborate in some way and explore how you can help each other, and then a specific action step. And if you include these 4 things, I know that may seem like a lot for 300 characters, but it's not. And to prove that it's not, I am showing you my actual LinkedIn connection template that I just recently used. Okay, so this is 300 characters. And I could actually even get a lot more in there if I wanted to, by shortening certain words that you don't need to spell out the whole thing. So for example, I have in here, and I'll read it for 1 second. It's always a gift to connect with other like-minded leaders on a mission to create inclusive and empowered organizations. I'd love to explore how we may be able to help each other or collaborate, and invite you to the Fearless Leaders Forum and for virtual coffee. Okay, so there are a number of places I could have made that shorter, like change organizations to orgs, save a lot of characters right there. And I could have also chosen to use some words that are shorter if I need it. But again, you don't want it to be too overwhelming, and you want to make sure your point is made. And so when it comes to breaking down those 4 different elements that you want to have in that personalized LinkedIn connection invite, first off, who do I want to connect with? Other like-minded leaders, right? My mission, I want to create inclusive and empowered organizations. How could we potentially help each other? I specifically say that. Maybe we can help each other or collaborate. And then the action step is related to, I want them to join this forum and or set up virtual coffee. Then what I even have, and so then I just copy it and paste it. Personally, I now keep it as a draft in my email, so that anytime I want to access it from anywhere, I could be at an event, I could be on my laptop, I can be on my phone. It's easily accessible. I can just copy it, see if there's anything I might need to tweak, and then paste it in wherever it is that I am. Now, if you're at a conference, whether it's virtual or in real life, I strongly suggest you add a 5th piece of information there, which is the where. So where did you meet each other, or where did you connect? So you can give somebody that little trigger to remind them of where they might know you from. So here's an example. I am now, because there's more I'm sticking in there, I am now abbreviating some words. Like instead of saying great meeting you and spelling out meeting, I'm putting MTG at the blah, blah, blah event. As like-minded leaders who care about X, let's explore how we could help each other collaborate. And what I do then is when I go to one of these events, before the day starts, while I'm waiting for it to happen, I write this. And I keep it, again, saved in my drafts or saved as a note on my phone. And then as I'm meeting people, just copy paste into LinkedIn, so that by the end of the day, all my work is done and it's all happening in real time. And you don't have that burden feeling of an overwhelming mindset of, oh, now I have to do all of that follow-up work. For those of you who are in sales, I'm just going to say, spend some time on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. We teach a whole course around it, but that is an incredibly valuable way for you to start using LinkedIn. And then the last step of this for the LinkedIn piece, create a follow-up template as well. So this is in your drafts, ready to go. When that person connects with you, boom, copy paste, and it's really easy for them to follow up with you and take that action. I also now use a calendaring app. The latest one I'm using is Calendly, Calendly. I've also used Acuity. Again, I make no money from these companies. I'm telling you this because it's helpful. It costs me, I think, a whopping $12 a month. And I will include the short little link that I created in my follow-up email as well, to say something like, find a time that works for you for a 20-minute virtual coffee by clicking here. Or if you can't find something, send me an email at my address. Okay. And what I'm doing generally is I'm asking them for virtual coffee. So just as Jill had mentioned that every minute counts, I don't ask people for virtual coffee for an hour. I ask them, my standard is 20 minutes. And I have found that when I ask people for 20 minutes for virtual coffee, almost nobody turns me down. Okay. By the way, I get turned down a lot in life. But when it's a 20-minute virtual coffee, almost nobody turns me down. And this is the benefit and the advantage of everybody working from home. Because guess what? If I wanted to have virtual coffee with the people that I do regularly now, I mean, for God's sakes, I'd be flying all over the world. But I don't need to do that. I don't need to waste a minute of getting to be somewhere physically with someone. I can have just as much of a real live conversation with my virtual coffee. You like my cup? Right now with Jennifer McGrogan, wherever she is in the world. Hi, Jen. There you go. She's got her coffee with me. We're having some virtual coffee or tea. And the other thing that you can do is if you are trying to get a few people together, what I do now is I say, rather than having virtual coffee, I say, let's schedule a little happiness hour. The world's a pretty scary place right now. If I want to have a cocktail or 2 or 5 with my friends and family, I can absolutely choose to do that. But I don't like the idea of every social gathering online now being a happy hour where people feel like they have to have an adult beverage. So if you say happiness hour, it also can be at any hour of the day, and you can bring all different kinds of people together. But to the question that all of you seem to ask in the Menti poll that we took up front, the question is, how do you get started? And so I will have virtual coffees with people I have never met in my life. It will be especially because of that Connect for Women program that helped me get comfortable with this concept. I will reach out to women, and just because, or men, because guess what? They are incredibly important to have in your network as mentors, as mentees, as peer mentors. Like, we are in this together. This is not women versus men. This is, we've got to all help lift each other up. But so I'll have virtual coffee with somebody I've never met in my life before. And so I'll start with something like, I'm so glad that you were willing to have coffee with me. I'd love to spend the next 15 minutes or so to learn a little bit about you. Remember, I am giving gifts to them, the gift of my attention, just as Jill said, and see if maybe there's some way that we can help each other along the way. So tell me a little bit about your journey, what you're focused on right now, or what's your biggest priority right now, or as simple as tell me a little bit about yourself and if there's some way I can help you. Okay, these 3 questions are so easy to ask. Nobody will ever say to you, like, they're not going to be in a networking environment and be like, how dare you ask me how I can help you, or how you can help me, right? Or how dare you want to know what my priorities are. No, everybody wants to be heard and to be seen. And these 3 questions can make it so easy to get started. Okay, a few other things that you can do virtually from a networking perspective. So Jill had mentioned one, doing an endorsement. Right now, think about one person who has made an impact in your career. Okay, if everybody can think of one person, give me a thumbs up. Can you think of one person who's impacted your career positively? Okay, Kumi. Okay, there you go, Kumi. I'm glad to see you're with us. I got scared that there's nobody who helped you. So you can think of that one person. Have you done an endorsement for them on LinkedIn? If you have, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't, give me a sad face. Oh, we got a lot of sad face. Guess what? Everybody's going to be busy taking a whopping 5 minutes out of their day today. That's all you need to write an endorsement for one person who has positively impacted your career. And just like Jill has that weekly calendar appointment, that's all you have to do. Once a week, once a month, write an endorsement for someone. Or better yet, you can write a recommendation for somebody who's made a big impact on your career. And you will make their day like nobody's business. And when it comes to the karma jar, I can assure you, this person will want to do whatever they can to help you. And it can, you never know where it can go. So Jeff Munch is an example of one person. He led omni-channel marketing or partnerships at Walmart, and we had a great relationship working together. So I wrote him a recommendation one day. Now we have a regular, ongoing, either monthly or quarterly, depending upon our life, our virtual coffee where we talk and help each other in our careers on a regular basis. Okay, so it really can be a magical thing. Another thing that you can do is create what's called a tickler file. And I don't mean tickling cute babies, even though that would be fun too. Probably won't help your career that much. What I mean by a tickler file are certain people who are important to you that you want to keep up with and keep that closer tie on a regular basis. They may not be people that you're even seeing at all, but you want them to know that you're thinking about them on a regular basis. Okay. And so one way, two examples of this is Joe Shields, great guy, sends me article on the left all the time. And Wayne Bennett on the right. Again, this is why men and women are in this together. These are two great guys who do this. I don't get this from many women, quite frankly. He'll send me articles whenever he sees something that's related to women's leadership and advancement, gender equality. They know that that's my thing, and they'll send me something. Now, one way that you can do this, even easier for yourself to give and receive, is to figure out what's your thing. What is that thing that you want to be known for as in the industry and in your personal life and with your colleagues? And for each and every one of you, it may be entirely different. For me, I started focusing on women's leadership, not when I had started my own company, but when I was still working in the digital media world. So I had spent 20 years running sales strategy and marketing for companies like Yahoo, AOL, WebMD, Everyday Health, and many others. And I realized it was my thing back then. And so you don't need to leave your job in order to be known for something, but your thing could also be knowing what's going to be the answer to addressable advertising when the cookie goes away, or what is the future of what's going to happen with connected TV, or anything related to programmatic. And that was one of the conversations we had in my breakout room. So just figure out what is that thing you want to be known for. And then when you see an article, write about it or share it with other people in your network. And then what will happen with time is those people in your network will see, oh, addressable advertising 2.0, and they'll be like, oh, I've got to send that to Cody. Cody's all about the addressable advertising. This is going to him. And now it really becomes that reciprocal type of gift exchange with each other. And this is where you can also really start to rise up as it relates to thought leadership. So in the chat right now, give me a yes if you have published an article through any social media channel, whether it's on LinkedIn or Medium or HuffPost or anything like that, about something, a topic, or even just wrote a long piece about some topic related to the digital out-of-home industry or your career, what you're doing. If you've written an article, write yes. If you have not, write not yet. Okay, it's not no, it's not yet. So I'm looking in the chat here. Let's see what you guys have to say. Okay, so nice work, Debbie. I can't wait to read it. Send it to me on Location-Based Marketing. And Leslie Lee, I'm not surprised. They are fearless leaders. Cody, see, Cody, it made sense that I'm sending you an article. But I see a lot of not yet. And Joni, using social media to promote your customers. Love that concept. You got to send that to me too. So we've got a lot of not yets. Here's what I want you to do. I want you, as you start figuring out what's that thing I want to be known for, write just one short article. And when you do, send it to the 5 people that you're closest to in your personal and professional network. And send to them and say, take a look at this. Let me know what you think. And you know what else you could do? You could say, please like or comment on it on social media, wherever you post it. So it'll get started getting picked up in the algorithms. And because FYI, that's what everybody does. So you're not just looking at it going, nobody liked it. Give yourself a little bit of help. Even if you need to contact your 30 closest friends and say, do me a favor, like it, comment on it, or share it. And the first time, just like with networking, is always the most difficult, but you will start creating that brand for yourself that will really help you. And I'm sure you have brilliant ideas. So again, you'll be selfless to selfish because other people are going to learn from you. Now, related to that, another thing you can do in the industry is create a networking alliance. So just we talked about like the fearless, Connect for Women. You could also think about if you're going to a conference or event, whether it's in real life or online, invite a friend to go along with you. When it is in real life, you and your friend can buddy up, but not just to talk to each other, to include every single person who you see that's by themselves. Walk over to that person standing there like that awkward idiot, which is usually me before I started doing this. And you're like, oh, let me pretend this is an amazing cheese. And walk up to that person and say, hey, we don't want anyone to be alone. Come on over. I'm Jen. I wanted to introduce myself. You know, everybody hates being alone at these things. Next thing you know, you will have a friend for life. And then together, you can try and bring other people in as well. When the world opens up again, we could do another, I have a whole workshop that I can do on in real life conferences that we can do as a follow-up to this. Okay, so a few other things. Ikigai. This is something that will help you so much on thinking about how do you want to show up in the world and what is that thing that you're going to be known for. And it's looking at your life across 4 dimensions. What do you love? What are you good at? What will people pay you for? And what does the world need? And the more you can start to fine tune what this is, the better you'll get to that confluence of those 4 things, which should be your ikigai, or your sense of purpose. And that will help you in everything that you're doing. And it will help you get a little bit of a roadmap for yourself of how should you show up in the industry? How and where could you show up at work? And it also will be a reminder that just because, let's say, you may be really passionate about helping children with neurodiversity learning challenges, that may not need to be your job. That may be your passion project that you bring to your colleagues at work as something that they can be involved in. And or you can make enough money at work that you can then donate both money and time to those passion projects. So it doesn't always have to be that I care about this, I need to make that my sole source of income right now. Because sometimes what the world needs is not what you can get paid for, or certainly not what you may want to get paid for at the level that you need to live or that you've become accustomed to. And so as you get more comfortable with this, you can start looking at, well, what are you good at and what can you get paid for? And then boom, that's how you start showing up at industry and events and conferences. So you can start looking at places like Eventbrite, the Luminary, Evolve Her. There are so many places, and I added some of those for you right into your networking navigator of places that you can find based on what you're good at and what you care about and what you get paid for, business related events. Now, of course, as part of the DPAA, and for those of you who are involved with We Do, all of the DPAA events are amazing ways to connect with people in the industry. But depending upon where you live, there are others as well that you'll want to check out. So let's say, for example, if you're in the New York City area, there may be events that are happening from 212 or the New York Ad Club, or the IAB may be having local events. So find out what are those things that are happening in your area. And guess what? If there's nothing happening in your area and your company is not the only one who does something like that, okay, maybe Joni, I might give you a pass on this one, being in the beautiful Dakotas. But if you're not the only company doing what you do, start something. It's not that difficult to do it. And so again, here's an example of all different kinds of events that are happening either in Chicago physically for when you can go back into the world, or to just get to know people in your part of the world for you can have a network in the future. But then there's so many virtual events that are happening right now. And like I mentioned, identify an ally and bring them along. And that way you'll also be accountable to each other to actually show up and not say, oh, I'm too busy to make it to this thing that's important to me. As it relates to industry associations, absolutely don't only sign up for it, but get involved. If there's a committee, serve on the committee. Volunteer in some way. You will build a network like nobody's business incredibly quickly with those other people who are serving on those committees or volunteering their time for you. And this is just an example of the companies or the associations that I am involved with, and I have gotten so much out of it. And they're all different. They all touch different parts of what I care about. And you can make that little map for yourself of what you want to do. And then you can also expand your network, because a whole different side of us comes out when we're doing those things that we care about in this world. And again, especially for the women on here, we are pro-social, we are empathetic, we are committed to making the world a better place. And so when you think about what the world needs and what you love, that can also help you to identify what are those places where you want to volunteer based on whatever it is that you care about. So my thing is advancing women in the workplace. So I volunteer my time with a bunch of different nonprofit organizations. And again, I try wherever possible to serve on a committee in some way, whether it's the IAB and their Diversity and Inclusion Committee, working for women, where it's skills-based giving, and you actually leverage the things you're really good at. So if you're really good at sales, you might teach the women at Dress for Success how to sell better to get more fundraising dollars so that they can help women who are coming out of incarceration or out of homeless shelters to get their life back in order. And as soon as you start recognizing what's that thing I love, I mean, you might not care about women's advancement, and that is totally fine. You may be obsessed with puppies and making sure that animals are not killed at shelters. I promise you, if you look up, anything related to that, you will find ways that you could be volunteering, and that's going to build your network. Again, weak ties matter. It's not just about building your network with other people at another digital out-of-home company or at an agency. Okay, we've got 5 minutes left here, so we're going to finish up with at work. So networking at work is incredibly important. And the first thing every single person on here needs to do, if you're not doing it already, is become a mentor. The only person who gets an out, and we're going to put this in the chat, is there anybody on this Zoom that has been working for less than 2 years? If you have been working for less than 2 years right now, just give us, actually just put your email in the chat if you're comfortable with it, or your LinkedIn in the chat, or a yes in the chat. And I personally will set up a call, a little coaching and mentorship call with you, but hopefully some other people might as well. Because the only people who get out of being a mentor are people who have less than 2 years of work experience. You might not have that much great stuff to share just yet. For all the rest of you, Jennifer McGrogan, my girl, yes, we're gonna be in touch, okay? Everybody else on this call, you have a responsibility to help the next generation, because not only are you helping them, they are going to help you at the same time. So especially in this industry, let's just say you're an old lady like me and 29, and you don't use TikTok all the time, but in your industry, you need to be really smart about who's using it, what brands are using it, how and why. Don't worry, I'm not gonna do a WAP dance challenge on here. That is off the table. But you may need to know that. And if you don't have people who are younger than you, who understand how to use the tech, or how to relate to Gen Z, or how to motivate younger employees who may be, scared of starting their first job ever, they're gonna help you at the same time. So mentor, 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 early and often. Okay. Jennifer, I look forward to talking, and congratulations to you for making the time to be here, because hopefully this will stay with you for a long time. And everybody, regardless of your age, can find a mentor, even if it is a peer mentor and somebody who is like you and who can give you a different perspective and be what is called a truth teller. Research shows that CEOs who have at least 2 truth tellers in their life, those are professional peer mentors or people around them who will be honest and give them advice of what they could or should do, are the most successful CEOs in the world, okay? The other thing that you could do, if you're a leader, like the many leaders we have on here, Debbie and Amanda and Leslie and Joni and Samantha, host a brown bag lunch and learn. So you can do this virtually. You can say, hey, I'm going to be hosting lunch at noon today. I'll share a few lessons learned along the way. And if you have any questions, awkward or not, if they're awkward, send it to me beforehand so nobody has to see you asking the question, and I'll address it. And we'll just have lunch together for a half an hour. And when the world opens up, you could do that in person. And then finally, you can create a mentor circle. And this is, again, if you're a more senior leader, you and a friend, an ally, especially somebody who brings a little bit of a different perspective, can mentor a few younger people together. so that they see different perspectives and different ways to problem solve and approach. And then all of your mentees will start to build a relationship and a network together as well. But for all the women on this call, there's nothing more important than making sure that you are mentoring both women and men, okay? Don't just mentor women. And for the men on this call, there's nothing more important than you mentoring women and men, okay? We are in this together. And then if your organization doesn't have it, make sure that you try and help get an employee resource group started around what it is that you care about, and certainly stay involved with We Do and find a sponsor. This is that person in the organization who's really senior, who will help promote you and sponsor you when you're not in the room. So we covered a lot of information in the last, I think, hour and 9 minutes that we have had here together. But most importantly, I want you to know that you can take that first step. Just imagine that the ground says you got this, because the reality is, if you come at it with a gift-giving mindset, the worst thing that happens is you're nice to somebody else and you help somebody else. But because I truly believe in karma, it will come back to you eventually. Even if you just feel like for a while you're just helping some other people, it will come back to you, I promise you. And so come to it with that gift-giving mindset, do it across all 3 areas. And remember, just like a butterfly, you can go through that transformation of being that ugly caterpillar to that beautiful butterfly when it comes to networking. And so think about what is not even the top 3 actions. What is the one thing you are going to do tomorrow? And we're at time. So what I ask you to do before you leave, in the chat right now, make a commitment to yourself. What is that one thing you are going to do tomorrow? Or maybe even today? And actually, it'll be really helpful for me. This will be you giving me a gift to know what's actually helpful for all of you. So put that into the chat right now before we say goodbye. We're going to be sending out a feedback form. And as I had mentioned, if you want the free bonus material, you can find it on the Wet Cement website in the exclusive materials section with passcode Fearless. And look, there's my QR code. If you want to link in with me, you can just open up your camera and take a picture of it.